Have you ever felt like your air conditioner is just fighting a losing battle? Especially if you live somewhere like Balch Springs, Texas? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into why that specific part of the world is basically a torture test for any HVAC system. And hey, even if you don't live there, what you'll learn is going to be super useful.
So let's get right to it. Why is Balch Springs so uniquely tough on your AC? It's not just one single thing, you know? It's more like a perfect storm of local conditions that are constantly pushing your system to its absolute limit. All right, let's break this down. The real heart of the issue in Balch Springs comes down to its very unique climate and, believe it or not, its geology. You can honestly think of it as a relentless, year-round stress test on your home's entire comfort system. And it's not just one of these things, it's all of them hitting at once. I mean, just picture it. We're talking about 100-degree heat combined with that thick, soupy humidity. Your poor AC has to do double duty. It's not just cooling the air, it's also pulling gallons of water out of it. Then you throw in this shifting clay soil that can literally move your house. And just for fun, a sudden winter freeze can pop up and wreak havoc on your outdoor unit. It is a really, really tough place for any machine to survive. Okay, so with all that constant stress, something's gotta give, right? Let's take a look at the most common things that actually break down in Balch Springs. We'll go through them one by one. First up, the big one. This is the heart of your entire system. And yeah, it's often the most expensive fix. Compressor failure. This is the part that does all the heavy lifting for your AC. And here's why they give out. In that blazing Texas heat, compressors have to run almost nonstop. When it's that hot outside, the unit can't get rid of its own heat very well, which just forces it to work even harder. And if those coils get clogged with dirt and dust, which happens all the time, it's like asking a marathon runner to breathe through a coffee straw. The end result? Total overheating and a catastrophic failure. Now, all that heat and humidity we talked about, well, it leads directly to another really common headache: clogged condensate drains. You have to remember, your AC isn't just an air cooler. It's a giant dehumidifier. It's literally pulling gallons of water out of your air every single day. All that water has to go somewhere, and that drain line is the perfect dark, damp little home for algae and mold to grow. So when it inevitably gets clogged up, a tiny safety device called a float switch does its job and just shuts the entire system off to keep your house from flooding. And now for a problem you might not expect, one that literally comes from the ground up, and it's tied directly to that unique soil in Balch Springs: ductwork air leaks. Okay, this part is pretty wild. That clay soil we mentioned expands when it's wet and shrinks when it's dry. Over time, this can actually cause your home's foundation to shift around. Now, it's not a huge movement, but it's enough to yank apart the ductwork connections hidden away in your attic. And what happens then? You're paying good money to pump cold air right into your scorching hot attic, while at the same time sucking that gross, humid attic air back into your house. It's a vicious cycle. Okay, I know, that's a lot of problems. It sounds like a nightmare. But here's the good news. Getting it all fixed doesn't have to be some confusing, frustrating ordeal. A good professional repair process is actually really straightforward. Honestly, it just boils down to these 3 simple steps. First, you make the call, and they send a technician out. Second, they figure out exactly what's wrong and give you a clear estimate for you to approve before they touch anything. And third, they do the repair and then test everything to make sure it's working perfectly. See, the whole process is designed so there are absolutely no surprises. This quote from our source material really nails the most important part: total transparency. It says, "You receive a written estimate that breaks down labor and parts. No hidden charges appear on your invoice." That's the key. You should always know exactly what you're paying for before any work ever begins. So what happens if you have an older system? A breakdown can lead to the toughest question any homeowner has to face. Is it actually worth fixing this thing again, or is it finally time to get a whole new system? Well, to help you answer that really tough question, there's a super useful rule of thumb out there called the $5,000 rule. It's just a little bit of simple math that can bring a whole lot of clarity to what can be a very expensive decision. Okay, here's how it works, and don't worry, it's super simple. You just multiply the age of your system by the cost of the repair. If that number is less than $5,000, repairing it usually makes good financial sense. But if it's over $5,000, you should really seriously consider replacing it. The whole idea is that $5,000 is kind of the tipping point, where dumping more money into an old, failing unit just doesn't make sense anymore. So as you can see here, for the same 12-year-old system, a $300 repair, yeah, go for it. But a $500 repair? That math tells you it's probably time to start shopping for a new one. So whether you decide to repair or you decide to replace, you've got to make sure the work is done right. Let's talk about the absolute non-negotiables, the things you should always look for in any HVAC pro. Think of this as your essential checklist. First, they have to be licensed by the state of Texas. That's the TDLR license. They also need an EPA certification to handle refrigerant. That's the stuff that makes your air cold, safely and legally. And this is huge. They must follow local building codes and pull permits for the big jobs. This isn't just a bunch of red tape, you guys. This is your protection. It's what ensures the work is safe and done correctly. All right, if you are getting a new system, you have got to know this term, manual J load calculation. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but all it really is a detailed analysis to figure out the absolute perfect size AC unit for your specific house. Not your neighbor's house, your house. It looks at way more than just square footage to get it exactly right. And this right here is why that calculation is so critical. Because when it comes to AC, bigger is definitely not better. An oversized system wastes a ton of energy and, ironically, does a terrible job getting rid of humidity. On the flip side, an undersized system will just run itself into the ground trying to keep up and will never make you comfortable. Only a system that's sized perfectly, using that manual J calculation, is going to be efficient, effective, and last a long time.
So we've looked at the unique challenges, the most common failures, and what a professional job really looks like in a place like Balch Springs. It all comes down to this one question. Now that you know all this, is your system truly ready for the next Texas heatwave?